League Baseball Show. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. It is Wednesday, hump day. I'm fresh off some runs down in Oriole Park at Camden Yards yesterday, and I like it. From the Phillies' perspective, we picked up a victory. You got a lot of runs down in Baltimore. The Mets lost. It was a perfect night for me, Jason. How about you?
Yeah, I went 1-1. I really can't complain. The Astros just didn't get the job done versus the Rangers early in that game, and then somehow ended up losing the game later on when they had the lead. So really bad day for the Astros, but when you have one of the better teams in the league going up against one of the worst teams in the league that just traded all their players, you don't really imagine that the Astros would struggle versus the Rangers bullpen and Jordan Lyles when he came in. So an interesting day there, but the Indians got their home runs against Harvey early in that game, as expected, of course. So 1-1 day, can't complain. Back at it today.
Nope, keep it moving. Got a large card today on a Wednesday. We have some afternoon action. We'll get to in just a moment here with San Francisco and Colorado, and then Jason's New York Mets are going to battle the Baltimore Orioles again right around 4 o'clock, and then we'll dip into some of the night action. Welcome into the show. If you guys haven't watched the show before, we do this each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the sportsbookreview.com YouTube channel. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn your notification bells on because it is September, and a lot of stuff is going on here at the channels. Pick Six, $50,000 competition for football season. Flash does a great job with the soccer. Jay Money does a great job with the NBA. Me and Jason in Major League Baseball. Chris in the afternoon for NCAA football, and also Gary, and as well as myself and Kyle Provines in the NFL. So a lot is going on. Welcome into the chat box. Gabriel, Ryan, Steven, Ty, Ron, Robin, Shaheem, Drew, Abel, Ty. Welcome in. Let's start the show off right here. Afternoon action in Colorado. I got to say, Gabe Kapler and the boys yesterday putting up 23 points, I want to say. Like it's the NFL. 23 runs on the board. Absolutely smashed Colorado. They get after it today. 9:51, 9:52. That's at 3:10 Eastern Time. Webb versus Freeland. If we look at the lines across the board, opened up at 126, Jason, and we are still sitting around that 126, 130 range. So not a lot of line movement, but that total opens up at 12, and now we're seeing a downshift here to about 11.5 across the board. I'm going to ride the hot hand in this one. Even though I like Freeland, I like his numbers, you're going to get a stacked bat lineup from the right-hand side from San Francisco in this game. I don't love it. I'm not taking it officially, but I would just lean on going 5.5 over. Full 9 at-bats in Coors. Team is hot, San Francisco. That's the way I lean here, but nothing that I really love here. Anything you're digging in on this game here?
Yeah, like you watched that game last night, and now it's so hard to handicap this game and say what's going to happen. It's you have two pitchers on the mound who have been pretty solid throughout the entire season. Freeland's guy, he's getting hard, he's allowing hard contact, but he does have a high ground ball rate. His K rate is kind of low, but he did allow 11 hits in his last start. But before that, he's really 2-1, has a 3.43 ERA, a 4.31 FIP. Logan Webb, on the other hand, a 3.27 FIP, 4.35 ERA. I don't know if the Giants have that much offense in them to score the amount of runs they scored last night, but I do think they have enough in them. I just don't know if the Rockies have enough offense in them to get that over 12 runs or 11.5 runs. So this is a tough game. I think Freeland's the better pitcher, but I don't know if either offense will really be able to score enough runs in this game. As you can tell, I'm very I don't know where to go in this game. So thank God it's a day game. Thank God I'm not going to worry about it. I'm staying away from the game because this one's hard.
No, it really is. And it's one of those things where are the Rockies like packing it in for the season? You finally get walloped last night. You have that quick turnaround, so you don't even get any time for it to sink in. You just got smacked, and then you're back out on the diamond today at 1 o'clock, I guess it would be Central Time out in the Rockies. So we'll see what happens. I don't love it, but it's just an interesting spot to look at after a game ended up 23-5 last night, and you see what turns out. So, Coors can go absolutely off the rails. It's so hard to, even over all these years that we've had Coors Field and also even dating back to Mile High Stadium, it's just one of those spots where you see like anything can happen there. I very rarely dip into it unless I do maybe a team total or an over in those situations. We'll see what happens between San Francisco and Colorado. 9:57, 9:58, the Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates stay on the mound. Hendricks versus Musgrove. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on those Chicago Cubs. They opened up as a heavy favorite to Pinnacle offshore at SBRodds.com at -204, but that's backtracked a little bit here. Now at 185, 190s. Over under in this game opened up at 9.5. That's holding firm at bet 9.5 across the board. I really like the look of the Cubs offense now. Look, Chris Bryant hasn't had a great year, but he's still going to be a formidable bat that you do have to deal with. Happ, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, Schwarber, Contreras, Hayward, and Martinez getting that, as an eighth batter with some pop that they got from the Cardinals. That fits in well. Kipnis, that's a heavy loaded lineup. Musgrove has struggled this year. I'm going to lean on going with the Cubs team total, but I'm going to keep it first 5 innings here. I just want to go head to head with Musgrove. I think the Cubs can get 3 runs. I'm going team total first 5 over 2.5. Any thoughts on this Pirates-Cubs game here, Jason?
Well, yeah, I mean, Musgrove coming back from being away from the game for, I think it was probably around a month now. So, yeah, this guy allowed 3 earned runs in every start this season, 5 in his last start. Like, that was against the Minnesota Twins. Also struggled versus the Cardinals and the Brewers earlier in the season. The Cubs probably have the better offense compared to the Brewers and Cardinals if we're looking at that division and trying to figure out the better offenses. So, yeah, I would assume the Cubs are able to score 3, maybe even more runs against Musgrove and potentially against that Pirates bullpen that's obviously not very good. So, for me, I think I agree with you there. The Cubs should be able to score 2.5 in the first 5 innings and should be able to score 5, even 6, maybe even 7, 8, 9 in this game versus the Pirates. And also, of course, I'd go over 9.5. Hendricks, he's a guy in his last 6 games, he's 2-4, right? He's not pitching that great. Obviously, his walk rate is down, but he's not getting. He's getting 45% of ground balls. His strikeouts aren't high; they've never been really high. But his ERA is 4.09. I just don't know with Hendricks right now. He hasn't been himself as of late, allowing. I think he allowed 20 hits in his last 3 games, 3+ runs in all 3 games as well. 24 hits in 30.2 innings pitched in August. So balls are in play, and they're actually becoming hits instead of outs for Hendricks as of late. So obviously Hendricks going up against the Pirates offense, a little bit different, look here. Pirates offense, of course, one of the worst in baseball, if not the worst. So I would expect Hendricks to pitch well, but I would see the Pirates maybe scoring 1, 2, 3 runs in this game and helping the over total hit with the Cubs.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up because yesterday just messing around that team total 3.5 minus 140 going up against the Cubs. And I was like, I'm just going to take a little bit of a flyer on the Pittsburgh Pirates. That worked out well also because you still have to remember, like, even though that lineup stinks, they're still professional Major League Baseball players. And any one of these guys can go yard and put up some runs, which they did last night. And it was good to see. 9:59, 9:60, the New York Mets and the Baltimore Orioles in the afternoon today. 4:05 start. Waka versus Means. 6 out of every 10 tickets you're coming in on the Baltimore Orioles. But how about this? We open up as a favorite, minus 125 towards the Mets and Waka. That number is rising. We're now seeing steady 140s across the board. Total opened up at 10.5. If you're shopping around, you could pay a little bit of juice and get the 10, but the prevailing number here across is 10.5. Yesterday, didn't get the best number. Opened up at 10, was 10.5 for the show. Still went with it, and I believe they had 8 runs by like the second or third inning last night. So that one cruised to an easy victory on that total. I see runs. Look, I like the Mets lineup. The Mets lineup works very well when you're matching up against Mean today, the lefty. They can Cameras, Conforto's got some good at bats. Smith has some good at bats, but also you can light up some of those righty power numbers. The problem I have today is if I'm not going to go, play of the day, or this is exactly what I want. The rain's going to creep in a little bit. It looks like you might get some thunder showers to start, maybe some throughout the game. It looks like they should be able to complete it because it's not a drenching rain where it's coming up the coast and it's like a 3-hour storm. They're basically thunderstorms that are going to move in and out that might, change some of the humidity in the air, change some of the pitchers. But I do like the Mets in this game. I think the Mets are the right side. Do I want to pay the 140? Not so much. But what I will do is take, again, that over 10.5 in the game. I think there are going to be runs. And the only way I think I lose this one, or actually push this one, is the fact that if it gets called like 7.5 or 8 innings, I don't see any reason, Jason, why these two teams can't match up again and get 10 runs. But I will combat this and say, when you look at Michael Wacha, oh my goodness, a 7.41 ERA, but his peripherals, a 3.76 xFIP and a 3.53 Sierra, markedly better than the guy he's facing with Means. I like the Mets. I like some runs today, Jason.
Yeah, you see, I've been watching Wacha, of course, all of his starts, and this is a guy with a high walk rate, gets a solid amount of ground balls usually, except for this season, hasn't gotten ground balls. And he's now allowed 13 earned runs in his last 12 innings pitched with 19 hits in those 12 innings pitched. So he's been really, really bad. Batters are hitting now 324 against him, with righties hitting 371. He's allowed 13 hits to righties. 9 of them have been extra base hits. So we're talking about 13 hits. They're hitting 371, righties are. They have 9 extra base hits in 13 hits. That's absurd, if you ask me. And then, of course, we talked about Means. Means is a guy that has looked pretty poor throughout the entire season so far. Was an all-star last year for the Orioles, so we're talking about 2 guys. Waka, he had a great career. Now starting to dwindle a little bit, but here's Means. Had a great rookie season, not pitching how he pitched last season. Lefties are hitting 308, but righties are hitting just 261. However, the righties are hitting with more power. So you have the lefties hitting for contact, and you have the righties hitting for power, and that's just a terrible recipe for disaster when it comes to Means. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. This game should go over.
And look, it starts at 4:05, so as soon as you get off the show, you see some of those finalized lineups come out. And I'm a big Mets guy when it takes a look at the lineup last night. I took a bad beat push myself on the 5 runs. They had the 2-run home run in the 6th inning. I'm like, who's going to be my savior here, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and couldn't do it. And here I am watching, Jason, and us gamblers in this spot so many times. Michael Conforto comes up in the top of the 9th inning and flies out to the wall, and I'm just holding my breath as the guy goes. I said, just keep running. Look at it. Don't even make an attempt on it. And, of course, it falls right in front of that short fence out there, 365. So almost got there on the team total, but wasn't able to get home. 963, 964, the NL East. The Phillies continue to chug along and are pounding the Nationals. And I love to say it, Scherzer on the mound today for the last place Nationals, not the World Championship Nationals. That's going to be Scherzer and Wheeler today. 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the Nationals, Jason. You know what? I actually agree with that, but I don't agree with it for a full game. Opens up at -106. Now we're sitting about -115. Scherzer, when you take a look at his numbers, banged up a little bit. He had the hamstring injury, but snapped back with a nice start last time out versus Boston. I love the Philadelphia Phillies lineup against left-handed pitching, as you saw last night with Corbin. Now they're going to get a dominant righty, but I'm just going to go first 5 innings here, because not to say that I don't think the Phillies can win this game or even keep it close. Zach Wheeler's a very good pitcher. His xFIP numbers are a little bit higher than what you would like, but I think Scherzer's going to go at least 5 to 6 innings in this game, give you an honest effort, and I think the Nationals might be able to pull that out, or worst case scenario, push over the first 5. I'm going to go with the first 5 innings money line for the Nationals at -125 at 5 times, and then root for a Phillies victory after that. What are we looking at here in this NL East battle, Jason?
Yeah, see, I was thinking the opposite. I'm thinking the Phillies.
Okay.
The Phillies could win this game.
I like it.
Especially winning the first 5 innings. Again, we talked about how Scherzer, he's been on and off all season long. Doesn't look great, really healthy. Obviously, had a great game in his last start versus Boston. 11 strikeouts, no walks, 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched. But when we go into these rivalry games, it's a little bit different feel. And Zach Wheeler, he's a guy that's been getting a ton of ground balls lately, limiting walks very well. Not high on the strikeouts, of course, but he's allowed no more than 3 earned runs in any start this season. And also his home runs are down. He's just allowing 0.47 home runs per 9 innings is Zach Wheeler. So Scherzer, of course, his strikeout numbers are high, but his walk numbers are also high. His ground ball rate is very low. So if the Phillies get some contact against Scherzer and they can come out to an early lead here, Wheeler's been the more consistent pitcher, and that's just a reality. Wheeler's been the more consistent pitcher. He's been the better pitcher. The Phillies have now added to their bullpen, made their bullpen better. So for me, I think the Phillies are the hot team. I'd ride with the hot bats that obviously scored some runs in the last game where the Nationals didn't. So for me, I like the Phillies here at +108 as a small, slight underdog. I think the Phillies can win this game.
Hey, you don't have to push me too hard to try to bet the Phillies at a plus number today. I will be rooting for those Phillies. We'll see what takes place in this ball game. And I would love to see Scherzer go 5 innings, 5 earned runs. But my pockets would say, you know what? 1-0 Washington after 5, and let's get after it, Philadelphia Phillies in that bullpen. Last game we're going to pick for our pick 5 here. Then we're going to open it up to the floor and zoom through some of these games. Atlanta and Boston, Erlin versus Kickham. Ozuna went nuts yesterday in Boston. And it just seems like maybe, Jason, me and you could go nuts at the plate versus the Boston starters and also the bullpen. You're going to get another really interesting matchup today because Robbie Erlin isn't all that he's cracked up to be anyway through his major league career. He's going to be a lefty starting on the mound for Atlanta. And then you have Mike Kickham on the mound. You say, well, wait a second. Why haven't I heard that name before? Because he hasn't pitched in the majors since 2014. When you have a team tanking, it's not so much anymore about winning games. It's like, you know what? We have some starters here. We don't want to stretch them out. Hey, does anybody deserve a shot who hasn't played in Major League Baseball for a while that we're not going to have to pay next year? Oh, yeah. Mike Kickham, the lefty, bring him on up. Now, the problem is Atlanta doesn't do that much damage versus left-handed pitching. But then again, I always like to use that analogy. It's not Randy Johnson they're going to face from the left-hand side. A guy who hasn't pitched in 6 years in Major League Baseball. And if you look just last year, Jason, 31 games he appeared in AAA. It's got like a 5.5 xFIP. So it's not like you're bringing up one of these young 22-year-olds that can, mystify a team for 2 to 3 rounds through their at-bats. I don't see it happening in this game. I don't like Erlin, but 150 is a strong number. I'm just going to lean on the over. 11. It's 11 in this game. I don't see any reason why both of these teams can at least approach 5 runs. I think the over comes in here. I'm going over 11, Jason.
Yeah, and look, you talked about Kick Ham, and this guy hasn't played since who knows when, 2014. Was in the Marlins system for a while. But this is a guy, though, if you look at his numbers, if you look at his metrics a little bit deeper, not a high walk guy. And he's a guy that you expect him to be composed. Like he's not a prospect, right? He's 31 years old, getting his opportunity finally with the Red Sox. And so sometimes in these spots, these guys perform at a little bit higher level because they want to stay in the league. And who knows if Kickham has what it takes. But one thing that you could tell from his minor league his stats is that he won't walk batters. So if he's able to stay composed and pitch, and not walk many batters and just get balls in play, maybe Kickham could get through 5 innings and allow maybe 1, 2, 3 runs at most in the 5 innings and, have a day. I don't know if he'll go any deeper than 5 innings. Maybe he only goes 3 innings. Who knows how deep he can really go. But the reality is Robbie Erlin, he hasn't been great at all. 6 ERA, 6.42 FIP. Righties have 4 and lefties have 2 home runs against Erlin, and he struggled to strike out lefties on the season. He's now allowed 6 home runs in 14.2 innings, and then 11 hits, 6 home runs of the 11 hits. So the Red Sox have some power. Then why not? Why can't they get in front of the Braves in this one? Like you said, the Braves aren't the best when hitting against lefties. I'm not betting it. Okay? Don't take it like I'm betting it, but I do think the Red Sox have potential in pulling off this upset here. I really believe it.
Yeah, now you could be right on this one because, again, we're not talking about a great pitching matchup here for Atlanta's side, and you're talking about a decent hitting lineup overall for the Red Sox, so it's not that far-fetched in that one. I just see runs, almost like the game we saw last night between the Orioles and the Mets. I'm not going to be surprised if I got 5-3 in the 3rd or 4th inning in this game and you were able to cruise over. I like the over, even though 11 is a strong number. 12, you got to get to win, and we're not out there in quarters. Let's open it up to the floor here. Our 5-pack is done. 6:40 p.m. start tonight, 9:53, 9:54, St. Louis and Cincinnati. Oviedo versus Maley on the mound. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on St. Louis, but this line opens up at a -126 as a favorite for Cincinnati. That's now up towards a 150 number across the board. Opened up at 9.5, sits at 10 at some outlets. If you want to pay that double juice, you could still get it at the 9.5 number. Looking at the matchup in this one, when I like to take a look at, how are some of these pitchers matching up, or what do they look like compared to the other pitchers on the card? Oviedo in this game, a 3.6 ERA. Hey, that's pretty good. A 5.51 xFIP and a 5.99 Sierra. So he's due to get lit up. So when I take a look at both of these pitchers in this game, I lean more towards the over. Don't have an official play, but I got to say yesterday, man, Sonny Gray, this is one of the times where I'm glad where I give out a pick that's a run line, so I save some money on the juice. Sonny Gray got annihilated yesterday. We'll see if that carries over here for the St. Louis Cardinals, but I don't have much of a feel in this game. Do you have any leans or thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was really shocked yesterday, that game. I mean, where did that come from, right? But, Braves have the better pitcher with Tyler Mahle on the mound, or Maley. He's got the low walk rate, average K rate, solid ground ball rate. But his ground ball rate has dipped this season compared to last season. He's allowed now 8 earned runs in his last 13 innings pitched. He did strike out 11 Cubs in his last time out, which was a little bit good to see out of him. But yeah, I think the Reds have the edge here. But after watching what happened last night, there's no way I'll put money on the Reds.
No, it's a stay-away game for me. It's just kind of interesting. It's nice that it starts at 6:40. But yesterday, I couldn't even believe it. I'm out walking my dog. I'm checking the scores. I'm like, all right, just got underway. 1-0, 2-0, no big deal. And I was like, man, where did this get away? And who the hell is on the mound here? Certainly isn't Sonny Gray. 9:55, 9:56, 6:40 p.m. tonight, Toronto and Miami. A couple of maybe an ace and a future ace here on the mound with Hyun-Jin Ryu, the lefty for Toronto. And Miami's going to go Sixto Sanchez in this game. 5 out of every 10 tickets here. So basically 50% of the tickets split split right down the middle. We open up as a favorite for Toronto here at -130, and that now is downshifted to in the teens, -115s, -116s, and also an over-under that opens at 7.5. Offshore market, some of these places, Jason, you can get a 7. So if you get 3 on each side, you guarantee yourself a push in this game. But these are two really good pitchers matching up in certainly a pitcher's ballpark. I actually want to lean towards Toronto, but I don't know what is with the Miami Marlins this year. The lineups change every night. We don't know who we're going to get out of the bullpen, and they continue to win and stay in that second place slot with the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East. I don't know what to think, and to be honest with you, Jason, I haven't bet a Marlins game all year long with a side, and I'm not going to start tonight in this one because you have the young kid Sanchez, and you have a nice, spot on the opposite side for Toronto with Ryu bouncing back. I don't have a great feel for this game, but if you have something, please share it with the people out there.
Yeah, look, the play I wanted, not the one I'm taking, the play I wanted was under 4.5 in the first 5. Well, of course, the total is now 7. 7.5 wouldn't even get that 4.5. So now it's a game that I'm not going to be touching. But like you said, these guys are both ace pitchers. Ryu is an ace pitcher. He's a guy with a high ground ball rate. He's allowed 1 earned run in every start in his last 4. So 4 earned runs in 28 innings pitched in August. He's looked really good. Sanchez has turned some heads early on in the season. Low hard contact, high ground ball rate, limits walks, getting swinging strikes, has a solid K rate. I mean, everything about the kid is just phenomenal. So he also allowed no runs versus that first place Rays team with 10 strikeouts and just 1 walk with 6 hits in his last start. So you would assume that Sanchez pitches just as good against the Blue Jays as he did versus the Rays. So if I had to make a lean, it would be under 7 in this game. If you can get 7.5, great. If you want to pay up for the juice to get 8, I think that's the best way to look at it. I would never recommend under 7 in a game. It's just I could never do that. But if you get 8, maybe I'd consider.
No, I hear you. And also, when you talk about trades in Major League Baseball, a lot of times they're one-sided, but JT Realmuto goes to the Philadelphia Phillies. He's been amazing, and they get back a young pitcher in Sixto Sanchez. So when you got to get elite talent, you got to give up some elite prospects, and it looks like he is going to be an elite prospect and, probably going against the Phillies for at least the next, at least the next 10 years. But if we know the Marlins, Sixto Sanchez will end up in the Yankees probably by about 2023. So we'll see how that actually turns out. And talking about the Yankees, 961, 962, Tampa Bay and the New York Yankees. Yesterday, we had a nice beat on Tanaka. They picked up the 5-3 win. Also thought the Yankees would be able to go over their team total at 4.5. A nice triple with the bases loaded gets it to 5-2, and they hang on for a 5-3 victory. Now coming back today, Montgomery versus Morton. 5 out of actually it looks like right down the middle ticket split, and this line opens up as a pick 'em. But now we're seeing some money coming in on the Yankees, 130, 135, with an over under that opened up at 8.5 and now sits at 9. Slight lean to the Yankees. Do I want to pay a price point over 130 in this game? Probably not, because of all Tampa Bay really has had their number outside of yesterday where they had a great pitching matchup. This is one spot here I think if the price gets right, rises to maybe the 140 range as we're seeing in New Jersey around -135. If I can get maybe a +125 or +130 on Tampa Bay, that's the way I would lean in this spot because I think the Tampa Bay Rays have the better pitching matchup today as they didn't have it yesterday. But no great feel in this game, but I would have a lean here on Tampa Bay if the price is right.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at the Rays and Charlie Morton's on the mound, and they're underdogs versus Jordan Montgomery. I mean, that's nuts. Rays +108 would be a lean for me. Not an official play yet. I'm still considering. I hate going up against the Yankees and taking another team over the Yankees. But, again, the Rays have really destroyed the Yankees throughout the entire season, not last night. But, throughout the season, the Rays have done really well. The Rays are also in first place by around 4 games in the AL East. So the Rays are a first-place team, and they're not screwing around. So, Charlie Morton as an underdog versus Jordan Montgomery just seems like a gift. But again, it's not an official play for me.
No, it's like that Yankees tax, Jason, when you just see the Yankees out there like a pick 'em. Oh, my God, the Yankees are pick 'em at home. I have to bet the Yankees because I don't ever see that price ever again. Well, you get what you get in that, but it seems like that's what the feel of it most of the time is. 967, 968. Look, hey, we like to get through as many games as we can, and, we got to get through some of these clunkers too. 967, 968, as I said on the rotation. Turnbull and Hauser, 8 out of every 10 tickets here, Jason, coming in on the Detroit Tigers. And why? Opens up around 150, but even all those tickets lining up up. Milwaukee is getting the steam here. 164 at Pinnacle offshore, 163 at Chris offshore, 5 dimes offshore, 162. Over under that opens up at 9 and now currently still sits at 9. And when we take a look at the pitching breakdown and you look at Turnbull, and the reason why, hey, I'm going to bet this guy because he has a 2.97 ERA. Well, his xFIP is 4.97 with a Sierra of 5.39. Now, here's the dilemma that all gamblers have, and specifically me when I try to take team totals. And I see a Sierra that high, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm immediately looking to see what I can get out of him, what I can do with the Milwaukee Brewers lineup. But then when you flip on the Milwaukee Brewers lineup, it's like, well, what, like, is it a bunch of like just, triple A, double A guys weighted on base averages, all red, nobody doing much damage whatsoever. This is a stay away game for me. I just wish the Milwaukee team had some at bats that could do damage versus right-handed pitching, which they haven't shown yet. Somebody's going to get the Turnbull, but I'm not sure Milwaukee can actually do it. I'll actually lean Detroit with this huge number and say, I'll take a flyer on a dog here. Yeah,
this is another play where, I'm looking at the dog as well with the Tigers at plus 140. Hauser, he's getting a crazy amount of ground balls, of course, but his walks are getting high, just like Turnbull's are. Hauser's now allowed 9 hits in back-to-back games this season and 5 home runs in his last 4 games. So when the ball is not on the ground, it's going over the fence for Hauser. So the Tigers, their offense has been really, really hot as of late. And Turnbull, he's a guy that he's been on and off all season long. His walks are really high now, 5.34 per 9 innings, which is absurd. But that's the difference. With Hauser, no home runs throughout the entire season. Then that's why his FIP is 3.4, and that's why his ERA is 2.97, because even though he's in those walks, he's getting out of those jams, and he's able to perform and get out of these situations to have a solid ERA and FIP. So, the OBA for Turnbull is just 0.200. But again, runners are getting on base via the walk. So, it's only a matter of time where the guys on base end up scoring from those walks. Could that be this game? Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think the Brewers offense has what it takes, but it's definitely possible. So you could be on the lookout for it.
Are we going to fall back into this trap today, Jason? Cleveland and Kansas City. Yesterday, I'm like, hey, you know what? I think Cleveland's pitching should be able to hold the Royals down. Check. But I don't think the Indians can really light it up on offense from the opposite side. Not a check there, as they absolutely destroyed Matt Harvey the Dark Knight, carried it all the way through the game, an easy runaway winner. Now you're going to get McKenzie on the mound, the youngster, who had a dominant first start with 10 Ks, backed off a little bit in his last start, only getting 3 Ks. We'll see what he produces today. But he is a heavy favorite, Jason. Opened up at minus 164 offshore. Now we're sitting in that 158, 160 range across the board. Over under that did open up at 9. We're still seeing at 9 going up against Jacob Junis. And it's just simple for me in this game. Maybe the Cleveland bats finally figured it out. Junis is a hittable guy. You have all those switch hitters in there. I think the Cleveland Indians, I didn't believe they could yesterday, but I think they'll be able to hit their team total today and certainly carry the victory. But, young kids still on the road, learning the ropes. I trust the Cleveland bats a little bit more today in this game going up against Junis. Give me the 9 full at bats. Give me the team total over on the Indians. Any thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I got an official play on this one. Look,
all right.
Look, Tristan McKenzie, right? This is the guy who's looked really good in his first 2 starts. And at the end of the day, the Indians got rid of Clevenger because, they have another piece in McKenzie and they trust him, seeing what they've seen out of him in the first 2 games. And it wasn't such a bad blow getting rid of Clevenger at that point with McKenzie. McKenzie, this is a guy, he's allowing walks, of course, in the first 2 starts, but seeing a high amount of strikeouts. And the Royals are a big strikeout team. We saw that with Bieber. We saw that with Plesac. The Royals are striking out a ton. McKenzie has that stuff to be able to strike out these batters. And like you said, the Indians, their offense might be turning around and turning that corner, for their offense. And, with McKenzie on the mound, the Indians have scored now 20 runs in his first 2 games being on the mound. So, yeah, you could expect some runs for the Indians, and not just because McKenzie's on the mound, but because they're going up against Jacob Junis. Junis, 3 games started this season, a 5.27 FIP. He has heavy hard contact at the high Sierra. He's now allowed multiple runs in every start this season. He's a low strikeout guy, which means there will be balls in play for the Indians. He has an OBA of over 300 on the season in those 3 starts. So, like you said, there's a ton of switch hitters in that lineup. Great matchups for the Indians against Junis, and the Royals. Their starting pitching is not very good, especially in the back end, with Harvey and Junis. And you expect the Indians to score some runs in this one. So for me, again, I like the official play of the Indians minus 0.5 in the first 5, but if you want to just take out McKenzie and worry about the Indians offense, of course, Indians over 4.5 on the team total is a great play as well.
And we only got a couple minutes left in the show, 4 games left, so we'll hit that turbo speed button right now. 971, 972, the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. Lopez versus Barrios. Barrios looks like he's finally snapped back. xFIP's still a little bit high, but he got damaged a lot during the early part of the season. Lopez, as we know, gives up some fly balls, gives up a lot of home runs. And I'm looking at this game, and I'm just trying to break it down simple. 5 dimes before the show here, Jason. The Twins, 4.5 team total, -140. So it is a little bit expensive on this one, but I like the team total over. I think the Twins can get the 5 runs off of Lopez. If we're looking at the line, open up at 145. People believing in Barrios every day now. -160s, -165s with a total of 9.5. I'm going to stick it with the Twins here. I want to go up against that matchup with Lopez. I think we get 5 runs out of the Twins. Which way are you looking on this game, Jason?
Yeah, look, Twins over 4.5 team total is my official play on this one. Reynaldo Lopez has struggled to get ground balls, has a high Sierra, low strikeouts. Allowed 4 earned runs and 0.2 innings pitched in season debut versus the Twins earlier in the season. So if he does that, we'll just need one more run in the entire game for the Twins. Again, has a high walk rate this season, OBA of 313 from both sides of the plate. So Reynaldo Lopez has not been very good at all. And Jose Barrios, he has a high walk rate this season. Didn't struggle with this in the past. So maybe he gets better throughout this season. Gets we got 1 month to go for him to get better and improve on the walk rate. But he struggled a little bit. That's why I'm staying away from taking the Twins in the full game or money line or the first 5. Let's just stick with the Twins bats going up against Reynaldo Lopez and the White Sox and get that 5 runs and go from there. So again, Twins over 4.5 team total, which is around -134.
Yep, no, I agree with it there. 973, 974, Texas and Houston, Allard versus Javier. And maybe there is a lot to do with the cheating and the scandals that are coming around, because when you look at the overall talent in that Houston lineup, there should be much better run production. I know you got burned a little bit on that yesterday, as I believe, because I didn't see the finish of the game. I want to say Houston lost the game like 6-5, so maybe pushing on their overall team total. But today, coming right back at it, expensive. It's a little bit juicy, but at 5 dimes, a team total of 4.5 -135. There's no reason to believe that the Houston Astros should not be able to get 5 runs tonight on Allard in Texas with that weak bullpen. But then again, Jason, the line opens up at 9 offshore. Now we're seeing some 8.5s across the board. It's a heavy price, -200 to pay for Javier in this game. But I look at Houston, and also keep in mind, the one good thing, if you do follow the Houston Astros on Twitter, they're very good on their Twitter feed. Like about an hour and a half to 2 hours before the game, they'll give you the lineups, they'll give you what's going on. And also, key important, in the bottom right-hand corner of those tweets, they do show if the roof is open or closed. It's only going to be 86 degrees in Houston tonight, but I'm asking for a lot since the roof is open 1 out of every 3 million games down there. But if that roof does open up and it says it's going to be open tonight, I'm all in on the Houston Astros. But I still like them tonight, Jason, over the 4.5. But something just is broken with the lineup, and maybe it is. Like, hey, fastball's coming, hit it. Maybe that's the difference.
Colby Allard, this is a guy with a 6.5 ERA. But his FIP is 3.42, but his xFIP is 5.62. So, pretty interesting stats with Allard. The guy walks 5 batters per 9 innings, but hasn't allowed many home runs all season long. So, really hard to figure out Allard and understand what's happening with his pitching. But Christian Javier doesn't get many strikeouts. Also struggles with walks. Doesn't get many grounders either. He's allowed 6 earned runs in his last 9 innings pitched, 3 home runs with 4 walks, has an OBA of 191. He's really shutting down righties in 50 at-bats, which is pretty impressive. So, I like the Astros here. Of course I do, against the Rangers. But, what happened yesterday happened again today. I don't think so, but for this one, I'm just going to stay away and worry about the other official plays.
No, I hear you on that one. I just look at the lineup and I see how they match up. I'm like, 5 runs. It should be 5 runs after 5 innings. And then you're like, dude, they got 1 run, because I got burned earlier in the season when they're going up against that whack Seattle Mariners staff, and they just won 2-1 every night. And I was scratching my head, be like, you know what? I'm getting really light in the wallet waiting on the Houston Astros offense to actually come around. But I got to tell you, This next game, I like to call it a circle the wagons game on offense, because you're looking at Julio Teheran, who struggled in his time with Atlanta. It was great, an up-and-coming guy. You're like, you know what? He might be one of those guys that can fill into a nice number 2 on the staff. Well, he got bounced out of town, and tonight his numbers aren't matching up really well with what San Diego can put out, because these are the exciting lineups that I like to look at when you're finally getting into a team total, because even if the metrics aren't perfect for that scenario to happen to get 6 or 7 runs, you look at this lineup tonight versus right-handed pitching. Forget about Teheran, whose numbers are just all over the board. You should be able to hit them. I'm just going to talk ISO power numbers. Keep in mind, a .160 is about the average in Major League Baseball. I'm going to go down the anticipated lineup for the Padres tonight. Grisham, 298. Tatis, 382, Machado 314, Hosmer 302, Moreland 444, Myers 235, Cronenworth 351, Nola 232, and then Profar brings up the rear with a 100. So 8 out of the 9 at batters are like triple what the actual Major League Baseball average is, going up against Teheran in some decent weather. Where do I sign up? I know it's 5.5. I could probably get it out there with 5 with some juice. I like that play a lot. So I don't know where you're going, Jason, but these bats should be eating tonight, man.
Yeah, look, you read my mind. I got Padres over 5 team total. It's at -135, so the juice is a little bit heavier on over 5. But they are the road team, so the Padres, they get their 9 at bats, and they're going in. They're playing Teheran and then that awful Angels bullpen. I'm all in on the Padres, and I don't have a World Series ticket on the Padres right now. But if you're looking for that long shot for a World Series, I think the Padres are like plus 1,700 still. Even with all the additions they've made and all the progress they've made this season, they're still a heavy long shot as a World Series favorite. So definitely something to look at if you want a World Series long shot right now, a month before the playoffs. Again, Padres over 5 team total. Teheran, he's a guy with a high walk rate, low ground ball rate, has a high Sierra. I mean, everything about the guy, you just want to go up against 17.2 innings pitched. He's allowed 23 hits, 6 home runs, 7 walks, and just 11 strikeouts, 18 earned runs in those 17.2 innings pitched. I love the Padres. They added Mitch Moreland in that lineup. It's a great lineup. It's a great pitching staff. It's a great team. The Padres are a great team, and they're really going to start rolling in September.
Yeah, lefties and righties all the way through. And also when you take a look at, not only do you get the power aspect of it, when you take a look at Major League Baseball, you just want guys on base because there's more power behind you. When you take a look at the walk rates versus right-handed pitching with the San Diego Padres, Jason, like an 8 to 8.5% of your bats turning into walks is an elite level. Grisham, 12%, Machado, 13%, Tatis, 10%, Moreland, 15%, Cronenworth, 10%, Nola, 10%, Profar, 10%. So you got guys that aren't just striking out and saying it's going to be Joey Gallo, it's going to be leaving the ballpark at 440, or I'm going to strike out 4 times tonight. These guys are doing damage in every single way. And even if it's going to be one of those like, hey, I'm not going to do the damage, certainly give me a walk. And then here comes Machado, Hosmer, and Moreland behind me to drive me in. It's an amazing looking lineup here. I completely agree. I like that team total on the over. Last game we'll go over before we go over some best bets and bankers. 979, 980. Gallen versus Buehler. 2 good young pitchers on the mound tonight. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Dodgers. And no surprise here, right? Opens up at -175. Even though Zach Gallen has been a really good pitcher, we're now over 200 with a total of 8 in this ball game. I love the Dodgers. They're hard to bet against, but this is one of those where maybe I'd factor it down and go, you know what? I'm going to take Gallen over the first 5 innings on a run line, take the plus money and get the plus half of a run just to see if they can hang around. The price is too expensive. As I say in New York State, no, the rent is too damn high. The price is too expensive for me. I'll lean Gallen first 5 innings on the run line. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, the Diamondbacks have so much value going full game, going first 5, whatever the case might be. Of course, they have value. Walker Buehler, though, he's a high K rate, low walk rate. He's been a lot better recently. I mean, his walks were high earlier in the season. Look at his last 2 starts, a lot different now with his walks going a lot lower. OBA of 185 in 5 games. The walks, of course, were a concerning factor, but now that those are out of the picture and his average is still really low, he's been really good. Gallen, of course, another guy who's been really good. High strikeout numbers. Does walk a solid amount of batters here and there, dating back to last season. He's now allowed 2 earned runs or less in every start this season. He has allowed 6 home runs, so that's the one thing that's kind of hurting him are the home runs. And of course, the Dodgers know a lot about that. So the home runs are they're the walks. But I do think Gallen is able to I think most of those home runs were solo shots on the season. So if I had to choose for this game, I go under 4.5 in the first 5 innings at -127. Definitely think Gallen could definitely hold the Dodgers, close and potentially, keep it tied and have the Diamondbacks go with that run line plus 0.5 in the first 5. So I agree with that, as well. This will be a tough one, a great game, a fun one to watch. But since I have a bunch of games at night, this will not be one of the games on my TV.
Nope, I hear you there. 300 people watching out in the chat box now. 51 thumbs up, 0 thumbs down. We're going to get to some best bets and bankers now. Gave you the whole card in 38 minutes. Time is money. We want to get you in. We want to get you out. If you missed the show, if you're just tuning in, if you're going to come in later and say, you know what, I missed the show. I had an appointment at noon. I had an appointment at 1 o'clock. Click on the link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB. Watch the replay. Watch all the write-ups, Jason's stuff there. Great writers designed to make you a better baseball better in Major League Baseball. But now let's get after it. Best bets and bankers. I'm feeling myself a little bit here with some overs. So you like to stick to team totals, Jason. I'm going to actually go with an over the total, and I'm going to buy it a little bit. The great part about shopping around books, 5 dimes, accessible to everybody. You can check out the ratings on sportsbookreview.com. I'm going to go with the over 10.5 and pay for it at -125 as opposed to getting the 11 in the Atlanta-Boston matchup tonight. If I'm going to get 2 weak pitchers and one extremely weak bullpen where I actually think the Atlanta Braves might be hit that that double-digit number themselves and get a little bit of help from the actual Red Sox, I'm going to go that route. Anytime I can get a pitcher on the mound who hasn't thrown a major league pitch for 6 full years, when he hasn't been out of it, he didn't get hurt, he didn't go off to the service, he didn't go be a stockbroker and then try to come back. This guy was in major league professional baseball ranks for 6 years, and they said, you know what? This guy's not even good enough to come up in September with the young kids. I'm flying that over, Jason. Give me the over 10.5, -125 on the Boston Red Sox at 5 dimes. Let's do it. Jason, take it away. Best bets and bankers for you.
Yeah, so I have 3 plays today. I like them all the same. So they're all bankers. They're all plays. They're all plays that should win, right? So we're going with the Indians -0.5 in the first 5 innings. Get over the Royals. So again, Indians -0.5 in the first 5 innings over the Royals. The second game will be the Twins over 4.5 team total at -134. They should definitely, smoke Ronaldo Lopez really like they did earlier in the season, and then they'll have a great path to getting a couple more runs later in the game and hit that over. Lastly, we'll look at the Padres over 5 on their team total. It's looking at 5.5. I think it's okay because they're on the road, so you get the extra 3 at bat. So if you want to take the 5.5, definitely take it. But I'm on over 5 team total. So again, don't get mad at me if there's only 5 runs in the game. Nothing I can do about that. But the Padres here over 5 team total at -135. Going up against Julio Teheran and the Angels bullpen. I love that spot for the Padres on the road. So those are my 3 plays for the day, and hoping we got the sweep, but at least two and 1.
Yeah, and we have 66,900 people that have subscribed. There are 321 people in the chat box right now. Jason and I are going to strike tomorrow and not appear unless there is 67,000 subscribers out there. So the 320 people that are in that chat box watching now, you know what to do. You create a burner account. You come in here and you hit subscribe, and you pump that number to 67,000. Maybe I'm joking. Maybe I'm not joking. But no, me and Jason will be back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. on Thursday to bring you that huge baseball card again. I do want to thank you guys for tuning in, because without you guys coming in on the chat box, providing all the great chat, watching it, keeping the lights on here, and allowing me and Jason to talk some Major League Baseball, which again, I think Jason will back me up and say as well, it's really not work what we're doing here. We're coming on talking baseball, sharing some knowledge, picking some winners, and it's a lot of fun, and we will carry you right through to the World Series on the Major League Baseball show right here on sportsbookreview.com. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. We'll be back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. for a Thursday selection of Major League Baseball. Take care.